So now we give some strategies for the creative active phase. Once again, there's tons of stories, but I mean, I can't recite the whole book. So, you know, first it's the authentic voice. He uses John Coltrane, but really this is all about, you know, absorbing all of other people's information and their style, but at the end, the whole goal is to have your own voice, you know, your own style, your own unique flair. You don't want to just become a carbon copy of other people. You want to be coming from an authentic place. The next is the fact of great yield. So this is more, you know, when you start thinking about in the situation of what you decide to do. So you want to pick something that, you know, if you figure this out, it's going to help a lot of different things. So in like any situation, you don't want to like think of something that, you know, you're only solving one problem, but maybe you're solving a problem for somebody directly, but there is huge ramifications on other people it could help as well, that they could be dependent on you to do whatever they're looking to do. So you want to find something that there is a great yield at the end. You don't want to spend all your time on something that's not going to have a large impact on other people, because you would spend all that time, and even if it doesn't happen or if it takes longer, there's not going to be that great yield at the end. So the next one is about mechanical knowledge, and I'll kind of use the story a little bit for this one. So actually I'll use the story a little bit for this one. It's actually the Wright brothers who creating the plane, and basically they created a plane, but there was no, at this point there was no existing model, and the person they were up against, who was actually way more funded than they were actually bootstrapping this whole operation. You know, the modern paradigm for how a plane should be run is like a ship, but if you think about it, it's created more like a bike. Now they've had worked on bikes, so that's where they kind of got the eventually kind of tinkered on the idea that, you know, it could balance like a bike, but it was that mechanical knowledge. It was them being able to create something and feel it. And his whole thing is that we're tinkerers by nature. That is how humans evolved. In this day and age, you know, manual, mechanical type of labor is kind of looked down upon a little bit, if you're truthful. But he's saying that, like, it's not. Like, that is very ingenious to come up with something that has never been created. And whatever you create, you have to be able to feel your flaws and test it and build upon it, like a tinkerer, like a craftsman, thinking in that mechanical way. And that, you know, true mastery is always created by expert craftsmanship and not expert marketing. Is that what you create needs to be built perfectly. Like, that is what real mastery is, a great end product. Number 4 is using the natural powers. So kind of like, you know, naturally how things grow and evolve, using that as kind of your method and your metaphor for being creative. You know, he kind of breaks it up, this process, into kind of 3 spots, like where the first stage is like you're kind of loose and you know, you kind of have a broad idea and you'll tighten it up later. And then the second phase is really just gaining all the knowledge so you can make different associations. And then the third stage is really just kind of you know, settling everything together, but never settling into complacency, and always working on your idea, always evolving it, kind of how like nature is kind of, you know, evolving, growing together. It's like fused, but not being discouraged by anything working slow. You know, nature isn't super fast with everything that it does. A lot of things have been created over years, and the creative process is a process just like that, that is going to be slow at some times. So the next one is the open field, and this one's pretty simple. It's really instead of kind of going into things that, like, you know, the next hot, you know, if you're a musician, there was a time where everybody was doing the auto-tune. You know, T-Pain came out with auto-tune, everybody's doing auto-tune. You know, if you just jumped on that bandwagon creating auto-tune, you know, you were probably one of the people that were lost during that whole time, because there was only one person that, you know, tried something new and actually went to an open field. And this whole idea is not to go where it's already saturated. Go where, you know, the pastures are green, you know, not where all the grass was already eaten up. You want to be somewhere where, you know, there is an opening, there is opportunity out there. So number 6 is the high end. And this is really all about not getting kind of locked in to the paradigms, once again, of the way that either you or people solve problems. So, you know, the high end of thinking, or the high end of a creative ability, is being able to think, you know, almost outside of the norms. You know, the same thinking you have is going to lead to the same problems. It's a new way of thinking. And, you know, the high end is to always have an overarching question that's beyond just the problems at hand. And this is what allows your work to never get stale, is that, you know, there's always something on the horizon that you're actually looking to answer, and it's not really this project or this endeavor you're in here. You know, the end game is way past, because if the end game's up here and you complete this, then that's just the answer for everything. But if you're always asking and kind of searching for that truth in whatever you're doing, that's where, you know, you'll always have kind of new ideas, and things won't ever get stale. This is number 7, the evolutionary hijack kind of strategy. So really, this is about how we tap into things. We generally tap into things by accident. It's not really planned. Our kind of idea of the creative process is that it's linear. Like you have a problem, you have an idea, you create something, and then you go there. Generally, it's a little bit more messy and haphazard than that. That you're going on this one path, you're pulled here, you're pulled there, you kind of associate everything you learn, and now it's like, whoa, why don't I do this? And then this is what I created. And that's kind of really the way to kind of go about things, is keeping things kind of fluid, in terms of not feeling like you know, everything has to be planned out. You know, nature really doesn't plan out different adaptations or mutations that happen. It kind of just happens by accident. People go with it, and if you're successful with it, then that is something that obviously is a method of survival in the form of an organism. But in, I guess, the thriving or success of anything else, it's very similar in that fashion. The next one, number 8, is about dimensional thinking. This is actually kind of a cool story, just about how they decoded some of the hieroglyphics and things of that sort. But really, the whole idea here is that, you know, our brain, once again, likes to simplify things. We want to break things down to more simple than they are. And in the story of this, is they were trying to break down the hieroglyphics, and some of them were pictures, some of them was like parts were like phonetic, and then part was more character and phrase based. And the way they were breaking it down was like, this equals that, that equals that. It was a very like computational and mathematical approach. But Champollion, he definitely understood that, you know, language isn't even created like that. Like, you know, language is a math. So he more thought towards that way, was able to decode it. But the whole idea was, he was looking at things as a whole. He had a general passion for language. He knew a lot of languages. Everybody else was kind of coming at it from what they call in anthropology, like armchair like a guy's an armchair anthropologist, where you're just kind of looking back, trying to break something up, but you're not really immersed in the culture and seeing it as it is. You're kind of just seeing as it pertains to the blinders you already have. The last strategy he uses is the alchemical creativity and the unconscious. He uses Teresita Hernandez again. Really like her story. She's like an artist, but that does like heavy metal and stuff. But basically, this whole idea is that we also, once again, we like to simplify things as here or there, good and bad, you know, good and evil, you know, big and small, and, you know, love and hate, and different like kind of juxtapositions or opposites, yin and yang. But really, everything is a lot more fluid than that, and it's a lot more whole. And the way she did a lot of her work was kind of playing on a lot of these taboos or seemingly opposing forces that really kind of complement each other. Like, because, you know, without sadness there'd be no joy, and kind of the vice versa on that. But, you know, looking at what is reality and what is superficial that we use just for our own like human comfort and understanding. So here there was a reversal, and the whole idea about this reversal was really just towards like drugs and alcohol and the creative process. Generally, in our society, you know, they like to kind of make it seem like drugs and alcohol somehow fuels the creative process. And his whole purpose is like, no, it really doesn't. Years of discipline is what fuels the creative process. He even talks about Coltrane saying that his worst work was actually produced while he was on heroin. And for the people that do party hard, they also have a second side of their life where they're highly disciplined. So it's much easier to kind of focus on the discipline aspect than thinking some external substance is going to achieve this enlightened creative state that you're looking for. But that's it for this one. So there's just really one more, is the last chapter. But thanks again. Hopefully I kind of made this one I know is going to be a little bit longer just because the chapter itself is longer. But thanks again for tuning into the channel. It's your boy Devin Coates. Like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you don't like it. Once again, until next time, peace.